Well, hello all. A very warm, hot day. I just got back from a long bike ride, but I really want to put out a video on. People are asking me, what do you think of Bernie's new Green New Deal and Bernie Sanders as a candidate? So let me go over to the board and show you what he's proposing for a Green New Deal. Then I'll talk about his Green New Deal and him as a candidate. Let's go over to the board. So what is Bernie Sanders' Green New Deal in just a quick little report card? The plan will cost $16.3 trillion, eliminates fossil fuel use by 2050. I'm going to pick at some of these, but I'm just picking at them. I think that date is way too late. I think that's one of his downfalls for the Green New Deal, is that the dating is too late. By 2050, all transportation will be electric. That's good. All electricity coming from renewables by 2030. So pretty much all the electricity for your home and public works will come from renewables. Trucks and cars will all be converted over to electricity. There's a big one I don't like, because I think cars and trucks are a thing of the past. They use too much material. You're wrapping your butt in a huge piece of steel and plastic and electricity and lots of polluting chemicals such as oils and lubricants and petrol and hydraulic fluid and other chemicals that are all over the car to make it work right. Whereas public transportation, you don't need all that extra baggage to get yourself around. He says it'll pay for itself in 15 years. That's good. I think it'll pay for itself without even a problem there. I think it'll maybe even pay for itself in the 4 or 5 years. $900 billion on public transportation and high-speed rail. Good. I think instead of high-speed rail, I'd go high-speed tube transport. It's much more efficient. It can go up to over 1,000 miles an hour. Whereas high-speed rail, you're lucky to get 300 miles an hour. There is no mention of carbon tax. That was a bad idea from the very beginning. Get rid of carbon tax. It was never meant to work. It was just one of those talking points that was used for years to make candidates look green, when it really means nothing. Ban offshore oil drilling. Halt all extraction of fossil fuels from public lands and ban fracking altogether. Excellent, excellent. But honestly, I think that's a little too late. I think he has to be much more aggressive about getting off of fossil fuels altogether, quickly. He needs to move us off of truck and cars altogether, removing freeways and most roadways, which then could be turned back into dual use, bike paths, walkways, and public lands for the birds and the wildlife to hang out in. We need all the wild areas we can gather, and roads and freeways and overpasses and all that stuff is a great place to reintroduce those lands back into wildlands. Bernie Sanders, you get probably a B on this plan. You're the highest plan ever that has been proposed since the days of Clinton. The early days of Clinton, he was pretty ambitious too, but as we saw, that didn't go very far. The problem with Bernie Sanders being in the Democratic Party is no candidates, the House and the Senate aren't going to back him. They don't care about Green New Deals or environmental problems. The DNC has said they're not even going to have a debate over it. The Democrats are the same as the Republicans. I have a lot of trouble with Bernie and his past votes for military money and for money going into spying and that kind of thing. But all in all, Bernie Sanders is clearly the leftist left guy out there at this time. There are no other lefties out there. What candidate would I like him to run with? Well, obviously, the second most left would be Elizabeth Warren. If she would be his second. That way, if Bernie Sanders couldn't make it for some reason, there would be a good left to fall back on. You want a good left when you've got somebody like Bernie Sanders who's getting up there in age. Doesn't look all that good. Another person that doesn't know that Pink Barrio is doing a video. What's wrong with these people? So anyway, Bernie Sanders is clearly the best choice of the Democrats. If he was to win, he would be the most left candidate the U.S. and the world has ever seen. But is it enough? Would he be able to do what is needed? Stop all wars, stop transportation of goods from China and other nations over across seas to sell junky stuff that ends up in the landfills within a few months. We need to get back to values. And I think Bernie Sanders has the most values of all. Bernie Sanders, you're all right. You know, you've improved over the years. He is learning, and he does have experience. So if you had to vote D or R, it would definitely be Bernie Sanders for me. But I really wish he would just leave the Democratic Party and be an independent, because he'd have a lot better chance of putting in other independents into the spots of the DNR House and Senate during the next big election. And that's what's needed, sort of like a third party, you know. And I really wish his followers would really push him to get out of the Democratic Party. Okay, we have one more issue to cover, and that is the Amazon forest fires. But let's just go over to the board. Get a little quick update. New forest fires rage in the Amazon. 1,130 new fires just from yesterday are raging in the Amazon. So there have been military operations launched. They have deployed C-130s to try and help put out some of the fires. The fires are so bad they were discussed in the G7 summit, and all 7 nations agreed to help put out the fire in any way possible. Now you know it's serious. 20% of our oxygen comes from the Amazon, which is now on fire. We'll have to watch the CO2 count to see how it goes up with all that new CO2 pumped into the air. August 21st, 2018, it was 407.09 parts per million. August 21, 2019, it was 409.59 parts per million. Bernie Sanders, this is where you could really get things going. Be out there. Get the planes up in the air. Get these fires put out. Show that you have leadership. So, I definitely appreciate all your ups, your downs, and the new subscribers. There have been a few lately. YouTube's letting them come in. Very nice. So, until next time.